Hey, what's up, everyone? So today I just want to do a quick showcase slash tutorial for the Customize Legends Gamer. Customized because this entire insides of this had to be gutted out, and this is what I spent the last probably month and a half working on. Um, so I just want to go over this, some pros, some cons, and some struggles if anyone out there wants to try to do this as well. So, oh, and if you're the one who gets this, this is going to also act as a tutorial. Pay very close attention towards the end. That's I'm really going to break everything down as far on the how to. Um, Till then, I'm just going to do a quick showcase and what's on here. So let's go ahead and get started. So this originally was a Legends Gamer Pro, and really just plug it in, play. We were going to use the CoinOps X, which was a little bit USB, and it probably would have gave you about, I think it's like 1,500 games. Um, Working a trackball, so it would have been nice. FYI, this trackball customized would not work. It only works with the internal motherboard that originally came with this. Now, saying that, these are notorious for the motherboard to go out in here. Whatever runs it, everything that's tied to it, it just there's a lot of issues, and I think it's just a inevitability that it's eventually going to go out. And you can tell that it's out because even though it's still run with the core itself, right here it's still going to try to Bluetooth, and whenever it's trying to Bluetooth, it's never going to connect. And then back here you have your USB port where you can hard code it, which I always prefer the hardwired method because it cuts off lag entirely, especially when you're trying to play your like trackball games. A lot of lag in track, I believe, if you're trying to Bluetooth, especially with the coin ops. And that was another issue that I had with this system. I just always thought that coin ops and using the core was just so slow. I mean, it's great for its simplicity, but it was god awful slow. I see how fast this is zooming in. If this was on the original build, it would probably go about that fast. But then everything would have to refresh. It would take time. You might get good for about 6 and it would just stop. Refresh 3 more times. And so on and so forth. And then just trying to skip to another page, or in this case I can do it by letter. See how smooth that is? Don't even think about it on that. It was just awful. So it is one benefit of this method. What I do have in here is I believe it's a 70-20 or 70-50 micro. Honestly, whatever version it is, it really does not matter. Just make sure that if you're doing this on your own, that it is a micro. The thing's probably about that big, but you do need to at least take the top casing portion off, because if you don't, these buttons right here is going to hit that metal, and it's going to cause your buttons to not work. It's going to short out the connection. And also, this wouldn't go in anyways. Now, I'm sure you can move it around to fix that, but you're always going to have at least a button somewhere blocking you. Plus, as far as venting goes, the hole is big enough here that I created for the vents, so the vent's not a problem. I've had this thing on for 3 days straight at one point and never felt anything. Now, one thing you do need to do, highly recommend, if you go this route, is get some L brackets. And that's what I have right here for extra stability. Because with the computer, you're putting in more weights. And just like anything stock and a company going cheap on their stock, The screws in here was never meant to be taken out, put back in, taken out, put back in. So those will strip easy. And then when you're adding in the extra, I don't know, 3 to 5 pounds of what that computer weighs, it's eventually going to weigh on the bottom and it's just going to pop out. So you'll do that. That's the only real customization I had to do as far as the casing goes. As far as everything else goes on the inside, all the wires had to be stripped. The trackball sadly would not work no matter what I did. I think I spent an entire day just rewiring every possible combination I could think of. I even got the 12-in-1 that's being used with the Simpsons arcade right now, so you can make that trackball actually work with other games besides The Simpsons. But it wouldn't even work with this. And of course, the website said it would work on it. It was underneath the listing, so whatever. I'll just save that piece for a future project. Oh yeah, and the pinball buttons right here. So these do work, but they really don't have much of a use. I think outside of a pause button in game. So it makes for easy pause button in game, which the pause menu does have a lot of cool features. So it's a good thing that's there. um, and that's really it as far as this goes. Also, the pinball buttons, you would have to drill out or Dremel or just cut out a piece of the casing here because these pinballs are kind of magnetized in, not really hardwired. So you're going to have to hardwire them somehow, and that's what I ended up doing. I just had to take a hacksaw and just hacksaw away. To get these buttons to work, you will need separate encoder boards. I probably should have went with 3 encoders because that would be one for this side, one for that side, and then one to cover these. So 3 is recommended. I was able to do it with 2. It was really tight getting it done, but it works out for what we're going to use here. We went cheap, as in just on memory, as I just used what I had. So I use a 225 NVMe SD to put everything on. So that's going to be the computer OS. That's the actual Launchbox build that was created. And it all works out. The only problem is I had to not include everything media-wise I wanted to, so some of the music, some of the sounds came out. And it's not really full with the build. But of course, it's still pretty amazing, and there's still going to be sound off the videos that come up. You don't hear anything right now, just because I have the sound down, and plus also have all audio coming through my mic. So even if I did have the sound on, I'm not sure if you could really even hear it. So anyways, that's as far as that goes. I'll lightly go over the build here. Okay, well I guess we got into the game. Many ways to get in the game. And I'll go over all that in detail when we hit the how-to guide. So anyways, this is going to be the main menu. We have things broken up into arcade. You have the companies and genres. So we have our Data East Classics. That's going to be, I believe that's going to be like your Rambo, Bad Dudes. Yeah, so we have a few in here. Karnov, that is a favorite of one of my buddies. Night Star, Night Slashers. Now this is a what you would call one of those gyms. So if you never played Night Slashers, give it a shot. I hear that is a gym. Ghostbusters, RoboCop. So we have our fighting games. Oh, and up top it shows you how many's in there. So we have 195 fighting games. Data East looks like it has 93. And of course, right here, we also have a little information on those that's available. Down here is recently played, so if there's something here that you play a lot, you can actually just move this over, and it'll just hop you right into a game. So there's really only like 3 or 4 games I play a lot. Street Fighter, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man I should say, much better game. And she's hotter. So that's one I play a lot. Flying, Irene. So you kind of get the point. Now, since the trackball didn't work, and also a lot of these games, especially racing wise, light gun wise, require extra hardware, the compatibility just wasn't there for a lot of games. So, fortunately, I had to remove some games to get that just to make the experience better. I didn't want to leave games on here that were quote playable, but would just be a nightmare to try to play. I was running Cruising, San Francisco Rush, games like that with a joystick, but the problem was the sensitivity was just so high, and I just couldn't dial it in right. Anytime you turn left, you basically spun out your car. And the reason that works is it all requires on analog. These aren't analog controls, so I'm sure if you're trying to control that with a Xbox controller, then you probably have no problem. But keeping this as close to arcade base as possible with these controls, I just couldn't get that to work. So racing games that had to go. A lot of trackball games had to go just because the trackball doesn't work, and for the same reasons. Light gun games went, no Lethal Enforcers. That being said, those games wouldn't have been available on the coin ops anyways, if we went the coin ops route. So you're not really losing anything as far as that goes. Next, we do have the addition of games. So the games that wouldn't have been on here is all 3D games. So as far as your 3D games goes, there's NFL Blitz. That wouldn't have been available. If it was, it definitely wouldn't have been the arcade version. Which honestly, I have no qualms with the Dreamcast version, but that's more likely what you would have received, the Dreamcast or the PlayStation version. But you wouldn't have had any 3D games at all. You definitely wouldn't have Battle Arena Toshinden, which is a really old school, early 3D game that came out. You may have Killer Instinct, but probably not Killer Instinct 2. NFL Blitz is a big deal, so glad I was able to go and keep that on here. NBA Jam Hang Time, so that's another one that's on here. Yeah, there they are. Just couldn't find them. Yeah, so we have 1,800 games on here. A lot of fluff games I've taken out. We could have had more, but they would have taken up space, and you wouldn't have played those games anyways. So, just a quick rundown. This is Blitz. We'll get our coins in. Start. See how fast that goes. Get out of that game. And honestly, as far as showcasing goes, I mean, this is it. I wanted to move on to the how-to now. Um, in the how-to, though, there will be some more features I'll show as I'm just showing that along. I just didn't show it right now because I just want to cut down the repetitiveness of what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and power this thing off, and then we're going to go start with what you should do when you first get this. Unfortunately, you can't turn on start playing. There is at least one thing that has to be done. If not, I promise you, your games and your gameplay is going to go at slow speed. And I'll explain that as I'm showing it to you. So just bear with me here, and we'll get that done. Alright, so we're going to the how-to stage. So, for the buyer, thank you for purchasing this, and I hope it does everything that you want it to. Alright, so anyways, the very first thing you should do, of course, is how to turn it on. All you do is you just take this, plug it in. So come back here, your plug-in is going to be to the far right side, depending on orientation. If you're looking at it from this angle, it'll be your far left. Just plug it in right there. At a point, you'll start seeing the lights in there activate, and you'll hear some sounds. And voila, there you go. It's turning on. Okay, so it's going to turn on, and it's going to go right into your menu game. Go ahead and take your included keyboard, and you're going to escape. Escape to the menu here. Go down to where it says unlock. Okay, and the pins are going to be just 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Okay, you'll see all these new options appear. I'd recommend don't mess with any of these. I mean, feel free to look through them once you hit a point where you feel comfortable with it, but I highly recommend wouldn't mess with any of these. But you'll want to go to exit, so hit your exit button. It's going to boot you to the desktop, so you may see nothing. Just move your mouse pad around, and you'll see an arrow. Now, this next step is very, very important. This is going to be the first thing you do, and highly recommend, don't miss this part. So you're going to hit your right click button. Hit this right click. You're going to go down to personal settings. Hold up, let me get this adjusted here. This is the glory of doing all this on a $100 phone. Okay, so you'll right click on your pad. You'll go down to your display settings. Left click or just tap your mouse pad. You'll move down to all the way to the bottom to advanced display settings. Now, normally, I already got this fixed, but through here, if you're running a 4K TV, which most people are, you're going to see your refresh rate at 30 Hz, and this is going to read like 3 something by 2 something. And it's going to affect the games because they don't run like that. So, if you are running a 4K, then this is the steps that you will need to take. Or if you notice your game's running differently, you want to make sure this all says 19 by 20, 1080 on desktop, active 1920 1080, and 60 HZ. This is the most important. If you're not seeing that, trust me, you're going to have issues. The quick fix, and this is what you do, it's real easy. Don't let me overcomplicate this for you. Go to your display adapter properties, click on that, go to list all modes, and just scroll until you find the one that says 19 by 20, 1920 by 1080. Click on that, make sure it says Hertz, you don't want interlaced. Hit OK. Hit OK again. And that is it. Now, this is going to save across this TV, so as long as you're using your TV, then you'll never have to do this again. The machine, PC, will remember it. So once you're done with that, just click close. Go ahead, Control Alt Delete, or just do it this way to restart. Let it do its thing. Alright, once it reboots, now you're ready to start playing. Now I'm just going to go over the buttons on how to navigate the system, how to start your game, and anything else I think that would be of some use. But that's going to be the very first thing you need to do. And you'll also need to do that anytime you move your machine around to, if you're going to use other machines. So if you take it with you, you want to show it off to some friends. Anytime you want to take it, show it off. If the TV that's going to be on is a 4K, then you will need to do that. If you're playing on the 1920, then it should be fine out the gate. Okay, so of course, simplicity. Player one side here. I'll put this out of the way. You can put this back into the pedestal. Just save it for whatever use you need. So, of course, up and down, you're going to control it. This is going to be your, it's right here is going to be your menu. So you'll have your arcade, and as I went over earlier, this just shows you the breakdown of everything. If you just want to see everything right off the gate, just go to arcade, and it'll give you everything you want. Or you can sort it out, your pick. A is going to be your enter button, so you can hit A to enter into menus. You can hit your B button to back out of your menus. Go to your consoles. Now, consoles are breaking up just by consoles. So, your Super Nintendo is here under Super Nintendo. Get your B to back out. Atari. Nintendo. And so forth. To an easy way to start the game is this button right here. I mean, you can just hit A to get into a game, but for simplicity, just think that white button right there will start your game. So I don't know. So we're on Tetris. Go hit that white button to start it. Now we're in the game. To get out of the game, however, you will hit this same white button, or you can hold it. Hold the white button down, and then you're going to hit player 1, and that gets you out of the game. Sometimes it'll take a second for it to refresh. Next, we're going to go into another game. I don't know. This looks good. Go back into it, and I want to go over the pause menu. So, the pause menu will give you some pretty cool options, and that'll be right over here on the side. I think it's the upper one here. Yeah, and you can hit that button again to get out of it. So through here, you can have a manual, and that's going to be just for games that do have it. I think most of your console games are going to have a manual. Some of them you can just scroll across, so you can use this joystick to kind of move things around. Arcade manuals, especially for Atari, are very important in explanation of the game. Yeah, so there's that. You can just hit your back button to get out. Your B, just remember B is back. You can also save your game, so you can just come in here, save a game, load a game, reset it, exit, whatever you want to do. We'll just get out of it by hitting that button again. And then if you want to quit the game, you can just... Okay, now we'll go over some controls on how you do it. So for NES, you're going to be using these two buttons. So this will be your B button and your A button. This will be your select and your start. Up here is going to be your turbo button. So if you want to use turbo, there's going to be turbo B and turbo A. For Genesis, it's defaulted down to the 6-button Genesis layout. So would just imagine that you're playing on a 6-button Genesis controller. So the layout's going to go A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And then this is going to be your start button. And of course, all this is identical to this over here too. So let's get a quick round of Street Fighter in. Show you everything is mapped correctly. So there's your kicks. Punch up top. And same thing for Ken. Alright, then just exit out of this same way. Hold that down or press it at the same time. Hold it, your preference. So that covers Nintendo and Mega Drive. Master System, I think it's 1 and 2. I think they use numbers, so this will be 1 and 2. And your start button, pretty basic. Super Nintendo, you're going to go B, A. Remember, with your Nintendo, these numbers are actually backwards. So B, A, Y, X, L, and R. And of course, select and start. Atari is, even though it's simple, it is, to me, it probably took me the longest to get figured out. We'll go with double drag, probably the easiest way to show you. Remember that Atari is a very, it's like one of the originators of the console genre. And being that, it's not perfect. I mean, it was like the beta of the betas. So you go there, you get in your game, you can just hit that to get into it. Now, for most console games, if you want to play 2 players, all you gotta do is just hit your player 2 button. But as you see here, I can't get them in there. So how we do this for Atari is there's a mode button. So you can hit this button here to change the mode. It'll reset the game, it'll change it, it'll say game 2, game 3. I don't know what game 3 is. Maybe it's just watching the computer do it. But game 1, you see you got player 1 there, but not 2. Then you got 2 there, and once you get your game mode started, then you can hit this button to start it. And that's it. Atari only had 2 buttons. And that's just the joystick and the action button. And same here, so it does work. Get out of that. That's pretty much how that works. So just remember for your Atari, start, your game mode, and your action button. Nintendo, self-explanatory. BA covers all our systems. Arcade, there's actually two different layouts for the arcade. We'll go over to basic first. And actually, I believe your pause menu can help you a lot as well. So, being an arcade, you need to add quarters to your machine. So, these right here are going to be your quarter buttons. This is going to be player 1 quarter, player 2 quarter. Your main buttons are going to be up here. So, just the majority of the games like this, your action buttons are going to be your top 3. If there's any more than 3, then it's going to go down to 4. So, these are going to be your main buttons when you're playing. I wish I would have picked a better game for this. But you get the point. So, there's hitting, I'm punching, jumping. I think this acts as a special button when Reed has a special. It's your pause button, and you can have a little layout on which one's which. So this kind of gives you a brief little layout of what the controls are up here. So this one here is supposed to be the grab button. It's just opposite on that, but it's kind of the point though. It shows you where you need to go. Go ahead and get back out of that. So hit your, exit the game. Next, I want to go over Neo Geo. Now, Neo Geo games are pretty unique in the fact that they have a 4-button layout. All of them do. So, what I did to simplify the Neo Geo games is I went ahead and fixed the mapping to where you have these will be your Neo Geo buttons along with these, so these are identical to each other. So it's really a preference on which one that you want to use. Use a Samurai Showdown, because I know that one works right off the bat. Actually, I'll go with Karnal's Revenge, why not? But anyway, so it's going to go A, B, C, D. Now, it will show you on the map what configurations to do what, but since this is also built uniquely, it might not match up with what the screen it shows. But just remember, A, B, C, D, and that's how it's going to be. Get that in there. Yeah, so DC always has dual tutorials, so it may not totally always match up with what's down here. It should, but let's find out. Alright, so we got our fast punch, strong punch, fast kick, hard kick. So we are matching. And then this is the bottom row, and everything matches up. Of course, some of them will want you to do combination buttons like that. Samurai Showdown's one game that allows you to do combinations. So that's just a game-by-game thing on how to figure it out. Now, when it comes to fighting games, or most games in general, this does not have one available. But if you go to your pause button, sometimes they'll show your moves. So you can have a moves list over here, and it shows much better on screen than off my camera because my camera's not the greatest. But these will have multiple pictures too, so as you can see, that picture changed. Pause, get back into it again. Yeah, so it's like this one has two different types of pictures. All right. Next on the list. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward, honestly. I guess I'll go over the Mortal Kombat controls. Yeah, they're pretty basic too. I just gotta find Mortal. No, you could also go left or right to change my letters. So that's what I'm doing. You can just use your joystick to go left or right, and it'll shoot you straight to a letter of the game. The one we are. Oh, duh. Probably if I'm not looking at only Neo Geo, that might help. Well, let's see. Let's sort by fighting games. So we can go to fighting games, and that'll cut down what we're looking for a lot easier. Alright, so we'll go with Mortal Kombat 2, one of my favorites. Okay, also you can look into manuals. Some of these manuals will actually have a move listings, not all of them. So if you're just not sure about some moves, you can go through here. Man, this thing's all zoomed in. This gives you just a quick overlay of everything. So this is more like the assembly instruction manuals. My things are still kind of cool to look at, but I don't think we're going to see move listings in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. Anyways, quarters. Okay, so for Mortal Kombat, it's pretty much, I try to do it as much close to the arcade that I can. So we have our high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick. I get that mapped out. Apparently that's not mapped. Alright, so block is going to be right here. And use a high block. If you don't, he's going to do that for whatever reason. And that's just how it is across the board no matter what. Every time I emulate this game, it's always like that in the low block. So just use your high. For Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat games, the run buttons, you want to be the bottom one right here. Alright, so anyways, that is a quick breakdown of everything going on. It should cover everything you need to know. Also, on the keyboard itself, it has a on-off switch right here. So when it's not in use, just to help prolong the battery life, which it does take batteries, just flip this switch over in the red. Now, when you get this, this will be in the red. So to turn it on, you just flip this switch to the green. Then just do what I showed you in the first beginning of this how-to part. Anyways, that is one more thing I want to show you. Man, I love this feature. It's probably one of my favorite features, especially when playing the older school console games. Yeah, we'll go with my favorite. And yeah, you can use this left or right to pick something you want to play off the bat, we'll go with Punch Out. Oh, and one thing you do get with this is these outside bezels. I'll put my little top secret straight to Mike Tyson code. I've had this code memorized since I was probably 6 years old. See. I may one day get this tattooed on myself somewhere. Okay, so this feature here is how to save. Hold this white button down. So you can come in here to do a save, but to me, I think that's just pretty. It just takes a while to do. I'll go ahead and resume the game. I'll let him knock me out because I already have it saved. Oops, maybe I didn't have it saved. Okay, so let's try that one more time. One way you can just save right off the bat, you can hit your pause button over here. Go down to save state. And just hit your A button. It'll take you back here when it's done. My preference is you can actually just go on board. That requires holding this button down and hitting this RB button. So hold that, hit RB, and now we'll get ready to start. I did that by holding this white button down and hitting LB. What the trick I use to keep myself from getting mixed up on which one does what, and I'll go ahead and save it right here again. I didn't get it saved properly there, so I'll try that again. Okay, let's try this one more time. I had to double confirm my mapping. So anyways, the load button's going to be LB. Easy way to remember that so you don't get your load and save confused is that L equals load. So just hold that white, hit that, and there you go. So instead of having to worry about putting the code in every time, you can just hold your white, hit your load button, the L button there, and you're good. Now, of course, the save will be the opposite, will be the R. I just remember that one as it's not the load button. So let's say from here to here takes too much time, which for me it does. I want to jump straight into it. So we'll go ahead and save it right there. And now it starts right here. I'm not wasting any time on him whooping my ass. Anyways, so that's how you do the auto load and manual save. Especially helps in these console games so I don't have to go back so far to replay your stage. Anyways, remember your exit, white. We use that white a lot, so that's why I made that button stand out. That's how we exit. And that is it. The proper way to shut this down, and you're not going to have any issues, is to do that and just go to a shutdown. I do have one more bonus thing to show you, and that's every now and then, and this is rare. I've only had this happen to me maybe 4 times since I've been doing all this, but the system's going to crash. You're not going to get into your games, and it's just going to be a headache. And the solution is very simple to fix, and it's probably easier to fix than doing the display fix at the beginning of this that I showed you. So I'll go ahead and show that to you. But yeah, anytime you exit and prevent any errors like that from happening, you'll always want to do it through your shutdown. And once it totally shuts down, the lights inside here go off, then you can just pull your cord and be done with it. And then just plug it back anytime you want to play because it'll automatically boot. Anyway, so let's get straight down to the fix that hopefully you'll never have to do. Okay, so you know you're going to need to do the fix because you're going to come across a screen like this. It's just not going to boot up. You may receive an error up here that's going to say something, fatal error. Don't let that scare you. It's just an easy fix, and that just comes with these builds. And I'll show you real quick on how to do that. Okay, so by default, all the icons on the background I have hidden. So first of all, we need to show the icons. I apologize for my shakiness here. Go to View and Show Desktop Icons. Now, these I created in case you have these issues. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you're going to open this file, copy all these. Usually I just click one, hit Control A, or you can drag your whole mouse over them, doesn't matter. Right click, copy, close, open up the data files, put here, override me, pretty much follows instructions. Put in here, right click, go to paste. It's going to ask it to replace these. Yes, replace everything. You're not going to hurt anything. And then when you're done, Control Delete, or however you want to shut your system down, or however you want to reboot your system. I'll just go here, restart. Alright, it's doing its thing. And after you do that, it's going to boot right into Launchbox. Yeah, welcoming. That error would normally pop up right here, and it would start up. Yeah, so I think it takes about a minute and a half to 2 minutes to start up. Now we have our intro video. There's probably about 20 different intro videos on this system. I'll go ahead and get out of this. You'll see enough of this when you get it. You can just hit anything on the keyboard or control just to get out of that. I want to get back out of this. You actually could have done this before you restarted it, which I normally do. But that's rehide those icons. I do it just to give it a much cleaner look, because I don't want to see those. I'm sure no one else really does either. So you can just hit exit. Let's get out of this. And yeah, so just to hide those so you don't see them every time you boot, or only see them when you want to, just right click the screen anywhere, go to View, and uncheck Show Desktop Icons. Okay, and that's it. And then once again, Control Alt Delete, restart, let it do its thing. Alright, now it's doing that. And as you can see, there are no icons showing, except that down here, and there's just nothing you can do with the taskbar. It is as it is. But give it about a minute and a half. Let's do its thing. And there you go. We have a reworking, once again, Launchbox, Big Box game console. This is probably one of my favorites, and I think I'll go ahead and end with this. This is your Game of Thrones intro, but using Zelda's Link to the Past world. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and for the user, I hope this has been very informational to you. I hope it's everything that you wanted and what I can deliver for you. Anyways, thank you.